Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Zillia, and today let's talk about We Never Learn chapter 150. A great solid chapter with a nice kind of ending feel to the actual chapter itself. Now I know that sounds a little bit crazy and a little bit silly, however, they do actually in fact state that this chapter was an ending of some sorts. Now, that unfortunately has me a little bit concerned, but it does also have me a little bit kind of intrigued. So, this review, I'm going to start off by talking about the problem / concern that I have with the last page of this chapter, and then I'll talk about my overall thoughts on what else they added into it. So what am I referring to? So I'm referring to the fact that they used the phrasing route 1 out of 5, and then they had underneath the title of the actual chapter, and then had the word end underneath it. So the problem I have with this is that it makes me concerned that they might actually do a retelling of the ending for every single character in a way that means they get with Yuiga by the end of the series. However, it does also make me a little bit excited because it might mean something completely different. However, let me explain why I think it means a bad thing for it to have every character have an ending where they're Yuiga's girlfriend. So, how do I even come to this? Well, while I was reading it, I immediately looked at the 1 and the 5 and thought, hold on a minute. Uruka could be 1. If Rizu's 2, Funmo's 3, Kirisu's 4, and Azumi's 5, then that would be, correct. 5 girls, 5 endings. Oh dear. That made me think that the series might end 5 different ways, and honestly, I don't like that idea. It takes away from the impact and dramaticness of the last few chapters that we've read, and makes them slightly redundant, as if they make multiple endings to this series, I don't want to read another few chapters in where we have a love confession, followed by a snowboarding trip, followed by another dramatic get-to-the-girl moment, with everybody else kind of coming to terms that they're not going to be Yuigas forever ever. Because we've seen all of that, and I believe that the series has done what they've done with the current ending and with Uruka's character in a really well and thought out manner that made it interesting, and it kept the audience kind of intrigued and kind of involved. The reason being is, you may not like Uruka, you may not like the fact that she kind of got with Yuiga by the end of it, but you do have to kind of see it from a logical point of view and say that it does somewhat make sense and that it can, it's plausible. Out of everybody else, like, come on. We know that Kirisu's a popular character, but she's not going to be, dating Yuiga by the end of the series because it wouldn't work. She's a teacher and he's a student. Yes, okay, he leaves the school after the series ends, but that still doesn't really kind of, it doesn't make sense in any logical way. However, that's looking at it from a romance point of view. But if we look at the phrasing in a different perspective, so we take the route 1 out of 5 and we add it to each character and say that maybe they have 5 different endings that show off how each female character got to the stage in where they're at by this current chapter. So chapter 150 is technically the last chapter, but then the add-on chapters that we have, the different routes, I should say, that we have, are in fact each character having a mini arc that shows us their progress and their kind of university life and basically how they handle that, really. Because we get told bits of information, but we're not told everything. Now, we're told that Kirisu has started teaching figure skating, and that team has started to win massive competitions. And we know that the other female characters are happy with university life without Yuiga being around, so it's plausible that that could be what they go with. Now, why would they do this? Well, it would show some detailed character chapters without any love shenanigans appearing. That would be a cool way to end off each character and their story while showing everything that they've learned and showing their development throughout the course of the manga series, before closing the actual series itself. And that would actually make me more happy about the whole root kind of situation, and it would make me happy with the manga ending that way, because it gives you closure of every single character while not kind of tarnishing what the mangaka initially set out to do when he, wanted to end the series like he did. There's this whole kind of fans attack the creator kind of panders to the fans. Yes, the fans are the ones who buys the product, but at the same time, I don't like the idea of any writer or designer or anything changing something just because someone else doesn't agree with the way it's going. Because that's their problem and not a you problem. However, that's what I've got to say about that kind of particular phrasing. Those are my thoughts on that. Like I said, I've got some concerns, but at the same time, if they go a different route, then it could be pretty good. However, we do have a very good chapter in the chapter 150. We start off with a time skip, and it's only been a few years, but everyone looks like they're older and much more mature. Azumi's got longer hair. She looks more like her anime appearance, which I didn't mind her anime appearance at the end with the longish sort of hair. Rizu looks more stylish and more look grown up. She kind of looks like a French student, if I'm honest. Oui. I think it's just the hat. I like it. It's a cool design. Sekijo, she looks like a zombie, which is a little bit surprising, but at the same time, it's not. Yes, she's smart, but she's probably being distracted a lot and being drained of a lot of blood by being close to Rizu for a long period of time. And maybe she's like the inside joke of university life is difficult and it drains you completely. Furuhashi is progressing nicely. She's using a laboratory, observatory even, that's the word I was looking for, near her university, which means she's making a few contacts and she's looking for a mother star. Brilliant. There's one thing though that kind of intrigues me, is you see a ring around her top. Where and who gave her that ring? Where did she get it from? Who gave it to her? I don't know, but maybe we can find out. Kirisu is doing great. She's managing a team, she's coaching, and she's being really successful in doing so. So why am I saying this when you probably read the chapter yourself? Well, it's because what I believe the mangaka is trying to say is that even without Yuiga, the rest of the cast are doing fantastically without him. And it's another way to show off evidence to the fact that they've overcome their own trials and their own tasks and tribulations, as well as an easy way to include everyone in the chapter. We do get a maid outfit Kirisu, which I think loads of people loved when it first came out, so I guess it's a bit of fan service. But you know what? I honestly don't think the mangaka found a way to write Kirisu into the scenario without it being fan service heavy. Or maybe he just likes drawing maid outfits. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing. However, it's nice to see everyone progressing and achieving somewhat form of happiness with their university lives and the way things are going. Now then, this chapter does also help back up the fact that Azumi did in fact have some feelings of affection towards Yuiga towards the end of the manga series. As we can kind of infer this by looking at the different kind of expressions and the way that she handles her dialogue. However, she is drunk in this chapter, so bear that in mind. But her advances and approaches towards Yuiga are still very forward and slightly aggressive. So yeah, maybe the boyfriend gimmick was a dream waiting to happen, but unfortunately it never became reality. Also love the fact that the ending kept its light-hearted comedy sort of misunderstanding trope, and it was very nice and refreshing. The chapter felt like a slice of life chapter, but it closed off a lot of things and gave us closure on a few characters in terms of what they're doing and how they're progressing, and I really did like that. I found that was nice. Yuiga pops the question in this chapter as well, which was a little bit surprising, because I honestly didn't think they would do that in this series. However, the feelings that both Yuiga and Uruka share are realistic in this chapter. So what do I mean by that? Well, having been in a long distance relationship, or being in a long distance relationship, I should say, myself, I kind of know what the feeling is that the two characters are kind of having at the moment, where they're waiting to see the other person so much that they become nervous, yet excited to see each other. And honestly, it makes sense. Yes, nervousness and excitement does mix together to form what they showed in this chapter. Ulrika got upset and kind of jealous after seeing all the other female characters like piling on Eureka in the misunderstanding trope that they did in this chapter, and her reactions were justified. Her expressions were as well. Eureka, he just wants to make sure she's happy, and he's trying to defuse the situation. He does a great job at doing so. And then obviously we have the recalling back to the fireworks, and honestly, this was well placed, and it ties in with what the anime should have done after waiting another season of the show. So basically not give the fans a rushed ending with an ambiguous ending as well. However, this is why it makes me a little bit concerned, because where they have this kind of one character picking him up type of, I don't really know what you call it, scenario, gimmick, whatever you want to call it, it does make me think that Roots 1 out of 5 complete is going to give us a retelling or rehash of another female character getting Eureka and helping him up in that particular scene, which I really, again, would not like seeing. The art style was really nice in this chapter. Nothing looked out of place or rushed, and the detail was very nice and fine. Maybe not as defined as the last chapter, or as detailed as the last chapter, but the detail was still very well pleasant and represented overall in this chapter. Dialogue flowed nicely, and the overall vibe just gave off a nice, refreshing one. All in all, great chapter. If you haven't read it yet, go and read it. If you're a fan of We Never Learn, you'll definitely like it. So then, with all that being said, I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me, and comment all your thoughts on this chapter and where you think this series is going to head in the next few chapters to come. Other than that, hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll catch you then. Bye bye for now.